Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. So I'm here today. Today we're going to learn about three things, right? One, how Big Pharma makes trillions and trillions of dollars off of pharmaceutical drugs. Two, what street drugs are causing people to go to jail, and also a little bit how much street drugs cost. Now, a lot of you may not understand that the drug industry is huge on three different levels, meaning that you have the legal way, which is Big Pharma, then you have the illegal way, which is the street drugs, and then you have the prisons that make the money off of the people who go to jail for drugs. So we're going to start with Big Pharma because Big Pharma is the one that's making the big money, and most of the time they don't go to jail for it. So Big Pharma, and this is by the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee of the United States, right? It states here, Big Pharma is big business. Ain't that crazy? The United States pays by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. At a time when one out of four Americans, can't even afford the medications or to go see their doctors. Now that's unfortunate, right? 10 large pharmaceutical companies made over 1.12 billion in profits. That was just in 2022, while paying their chief executive compensation packets and spending billions of dollars, right, on stock buyouts and dividends to make the rich rich and the poor poor. You know what I mean? It's sad because some of these pharmaceutical companies we know. Here are some of the names right here. We got Bristol Myers. They're up there. In 2022, they made $17.9 billion, right? And guess who else up there that we was raised off of? Johnson & Johnson. They're up there too. They are making millions and millions of dollars off of what? Our sickness. Question is, why don't we turn to alternative drugs? But that's off the topic. I'm going to get back into it. The current industry business model is based off of ripping off American people. For some of the most popular drugs, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, and Bristol Myers Squibb made more money in the United States, right? In the United States than the rest of the world combined. Can you understand that? Since 2016, Johnson & Johnson made twice as much of the arthritis treatment Sterling in the United States, and they made 30.4 billion as it did more than the rest of the world, because the rest of the world only made 14.9 billion. So what I'm basically explaining to y'all is that the drug industry is big on so many different levels. So many different levels. A lot of people like to think that it's the drug dealers that's making the money on the streets. And that's far from the truth. So now that we talked about the pharmaceutical companies, we're going to move on to what the prisons make, okay? Now, you're going to get some information from the National Drug Intelligence Census. And here, they state the numbers of prisoners for drug offenses in Pennsylvania is difficult to pinpoint without specific data. However, the prison population attributed to drug offenders, Pennsylvania all over, incarceration rate is high. So they say with 589 per 100,000 people, more than likely those are the numbers that are going to be locked up or come across some kind of drug experiences or drug arrests. Drug offenses contribute significantly to the prison population, with drug-related offenses accounting for a substantial portion of total. Now, what you need to understand is for each individual, right, that they locked up, they make money for, and if they hold them long enough, then they'll make a ton of money. And this is just off of drug offenses, and this is what's happening in America today. Overall incarceration rate, Pennsylvania has the highest incarceration rate. So we live in a state that has a high rate. Why is that, one may say? Because there's a lot of drugs here in the state of Pennsylvania, believe it or not. While the exact numbers of prisoners cannot be accounted for because someone is getting locked up every few seconds. Right? Follow me now. Now, what we're going to break down next is, right, the cost of incarcerating an individual, this is all from the same source, can vary significantly depending on the state, the type of facility, and various other factors, including staffing, security, healthcare, and maintenance costs. Some states spend over $60,000 a year per inmate, while others may spend $14,000. Now, that's two different numbers, right? Depending on the state. If you get arrested, charged, and convicted for drugs. Now tell me who's making the big money. See, what I'm trying to explain to you guys, that big pharma, street drugs, or the whole drug industry is all about money. And guess who pays the price? We do. We got to pay the price for other people because we got to pay taxes. And that's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother presentation. So I hope you guys learned something from this short presentation, that big pharma means big business. Have a great evening.